All right, let's get right into this one. Today, we're unpacking a really powerful story about two strangers, two balconies, and the quiet, almost invisible threads that connect us all. It's a beautiful look at loss, connection, and what can happen when we just notice. So picture this. We've got two people living what are basically parallel lives, just separated by a narrow lane. Up on the fourth floor, there's Mira. She's grieving her mother, and every evening at 6:15 sharp, she has a cup of ginger tea. And right across from her, on the third floor, is Mr. Arvind. He's grieving his wife, and at that exact same time, 6:15, he's out watering his plants. Two separate people, two quiet routines, but happening at the exact same time every single day. And this consistency, this silent, shared moment, it slowly becomes more than just a coincidence. For both of them, it turns into something essential, like a quiet anchor in their otherwise lonely days. This is where we get this idea of a silent promise. I mean, they'd never even spoken a word to each other, but their shared timing became this unspoken agreement. His presence was a comfort to her, and you have to think her presence was a comfort to him. It was this mutual, silent understanding that at 6:15, they wouldn't be completely alone. But what happens when a promise like that, even a silent one, gets broken? Well, the story takes a sharp turn when the one constant in Mira's day suddenly vanishes, and it leaves this void that's just deeply unsettling. One evening, Mira steps out with her tea, ready for her 6:15 ritual. And for the very first time, the balcony across from her is empty. At first, it's just kind of strange, right? She waits. 10 minutes go by, then 20. But he never shows up. By the next day, that little bit of unease starts to grow into real worry. See, it's not just that he's absent. It's the little details that scream that something is wrong. The plants, the ones he so carefully watered every single evening, are now dry. And that little detail just shows that this routine wasn't just missed for a moment. It feels abandoned. And then there's his chair, just sitting there, completely untouched. That stillness, that emptiness where there was always life, it creates this ache of worry in Mira that she just can't shake. She realizes that his absence feels personal, even though she doesn't even know his name. After 3 days, 3 long days of this deafening quiet, of staring at that empty balcony, Mira decides she can't just stand by and watch anymore. The worry is just too much. She has to do something. And this, right here, is the pivotal moment. Mira decides to cross that lane to close the physical and emotional distance between them. She goes from being a passive observer to an active, caring person. So she finally finds him. He's frail and unwell, and when she explains why she's there, his response is just 2 words, but they're filled with so much surprise and so much meaning. He just says, "You noticed?" In that one moment, he wasn't just some old man in a building, he was seen. And it just goes to show you, sometimes the simple act of being seen can feel like a lifeline. And that one little act of noticing just opens the floodgates. They discover they aren't just neighbors. They're actually connected by the same quiet grief. Turns out he sat on his balcony to remember his wife, and she sat on hers to remember her mother. The silence they used to keep separately suddenly becomes this shared space of real understanding. So this new connection blossoms into a real friendship. And with that friendship comes this deeper understanding of the very thing that brought them together in the first place, grief. And this is where the story gives us its most profound piece of wisdom. Mr. Arvind shares this absolutely beautiful insight with Mira. He explains that grief isn't something you just get over. It's something that stays with you, but it transforms. It changes its form, its weight, its presence in your life over time. Mira describes her own grief as an echo in an empty room. And this idea of shared echoes is so perfect. It suggests that, yeah, grief feels incredibly lonely. But the moment someone else hears your echo, well, it's no longer just a sign of emptiness. It becomes a bridge. It becomes a point of connection. And then Mr. Arvind reframes this idea in the most perfect way. He doesn't see those echoes as a sign of loss. He sees them as proof of love. An echo, he tells her, is just evidence that something truly beautiful once filled that space. It completely turns a painful reminder into a testament to a cherished memory. Their friendship deepens, but as with all stories, this one eventually has to come to an end. But the connection they built leaves behind this incredible, enduring light, a legacy that lasts long after their time together is over. Sometime later, after Mr. Arvin passes away peacefully, Mira finds a note that he left for her, and it begins with the exact words that started their friendship, bringing everything full circle. Thank you for noticing me. It's just this powerful testament to the life-changing impact of her one small act of kindness. And the note ends with this beautiful, heartbreaking instruction. He transforms his own passing not into an ending, but into a reunion and a continuation of their 615 ritual. He makes sure she never has to look at an empty space again. Now she just has to look up. So, what can we really take away from all this? The entire story really boils down to these three simple but incredibly powerful steps. First, you see the patterns in the lives of people around you. Second, you acknowledge when that pattern is broken. And third, you find the courage to close the distance and just ask if they're okay. And this is the beautiful outcome for Mira. Through this connection, her grief wasn't erased. That's not how grief works. Instead, it was transformed. The heavy stone she'd been carrying softened into something she could hold without being crushed by it. It became a gentle, warm memory. And that really leaves us with a final question for ourselves, doesn't it? We all have people in our orbits, neighbors, coworkers, friends, whose routines we notice from a distance. So the real question is, whose balcony is empty in your life today? And what might happen if you decided to cross the lane?